So there's not really a whole lot to go over this week. We're kind of just getting ready for the wiring and plumbing stage. I finished a few things up and we'll go over those really quick, and then we'll get you guys up to speed on what's coming next. So we finally got around to making the brake pedal. I spent way too much time contemplating how I was going to do this. I was originally going to do like a box style brake pedal to match how the gas pedal looks, but for simplicity's sake, I ended up just doing this setup, and I think it looks pretty cool. So I ended up using 1/4 inch plate, just bent and broke over, and then 1/8 inch to overlay. I needed it to be 3/8 thick. The old pedal was 3/8 material. I didn't have any 3/8 material, so I just did an overlay, and I need a lot of TIG practice. I do primarily MIG welding on everything, so I wanted to kind of practice my TIG welding. So TIG welded the overlay plate on there. That way I got 3/8 of thickness. And then just did a simple little pad for the pedal and gusset welded on there. And that's our pedal. For the center console, I came back off of this and then broke down and landed into the chassis down there. There's gonna be a cup holder back here, obviously the doubler, shifter right here. And then I can't believe how long it's taken to get that 1-inch die. So if it doesn't show up pretty soon, I'm probably just gonna end up coming up off of this with tube and then just do miter cut this way, miter cut this way, and then have the handles up here. I've been waiting on that die for literally like a month and a half now, and I want to get that done because this thing's about to get wired and plumbed, and we're going to want to drive it. And then for the front link mount on the diff, I've been putting this off for a long time. I needed to gusset this on the front side just to keep it from flexing or anything forward. And like I had talked about originally a long time ago, I just bolted into the diff cover bolts up here, braced the corner, and then no, this link mount is not just bolted into the diff cover. It's actually got 4 1/2-inch bolts that are on the top side of this diff up here. I believe Curry makes a link mount that bolts into this and then uses like a fabricated diff cover, and it is welded to the diff housing. We just had this diff cover, so I just ended up bolting into these locations, and that should be plenty strong. And we're finally getting around to building the door. So this is kind of the concept of what the door is going to look like. Obviously this is going to be, the hinge is going to be spaced out equal along this tube, the slider, and then along here, so the door is going to be kind of like floating in there, but we just have it clamped on there for now, just so you can kind of get the idea. This tube kind of tapers in to follow the profile of the secondary A pillar right here. And then we'll have some 1-inch lacing in here to keep this door light, but it'll go from this corner down to here, here to this bend, and then from this bend to the halfway point up here. And then I think I'll probably go from the halfway point down to here just to kind of brace all of that, but do it out of 1-inch material. That way the overall weight of the door won't be super heavy. This is all 1.5 inches, 120 for the structure of the door, and then we'll probably use 1-inch, probably 0.95 for the lacing on the door. So I am no artist, but just kind of bear with me. The door tube is right here. The other door tube is right here. So the plan with this, so you guys can kind of get an idea. We've got top tube, bottom, and then this is the chassis tube. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sleeve the inside of this top tube. I'm gonna cut this off at a straight angle right here and cap it. And then it's gonna be sleeved with a tube. I'm trying to do this one-handed. So it's gonna be sleeved in here with a cap plate in here with a spring loading that tube going back and forth. And then it's gonna have a little T-handle off the side. That way you can actuate the pin in the end of this. And then I'll have this cut off and butting up against another tube that's gonna have a hole drilled in it. So then there will be a pin in the end of this right here going forward and back into the tube, and then I'll have it plated and then have this just be a solid kind of block right here. It'll probably make a lot more sense once I get around to doing it, but that's the idea behind what I'm gonna do. So that's kind of it for this week on this thing. We're gonna now get it loaded up on the trailer so I can get it over to the guy that's gonna do wiring and plumbing while I'm on vacation. And then we'll go over some other things that I've got in store. All right, so the FJ is out and over at my buddy's shop for wiring and plumbing. That leaves Andrew's car. This is exactly how it was at King of the Hammers. I tacked all the link brackets on and everything, shock mounts, just mock up, tabs just to roll it to King of the Hammers, and we haven't worked on it since because we've been on a time crunch with the FJ. So now we're gonna go back, clean it all up. I cleaned up the chassis yesterday, clean up all the link mounts and everything, and weld the link mounts, and then get the motor, transmission, transfer case in here, get mounts made for that stuff, and then do the cross member for here, get the final shock mounts in there, and then on the rear, do the shock mounts that are gonna go in between here. We're gonna do, whoa, diesel. We're gonna do the fuel cell cradle, probably get seats mounted, he mentioned, and then do the hydro ram mount on the front and rear. And then as of right now, I think that's all the things we've talked about. So we'll get that stuff knocked out, and then it sounds like he's gonna wanna do some more to this thing. So we'll kind of go from there, get that stuff done, and see what else. So this was in the carport, and I've been jamming on the FJ and kind of missing wheeling. So I don't really want to go another season without anything to wheel. So I've got something special in store. Kind of balling on a budget because bought this machine, bought the plasma table, and a couple other things. So kind of limited on budget wise. So I'm not gonna build anything fancy, but So if you guys watched the claw hammer challenge video, this was the piece of junk that I used for that, but still fun. I beat the absolute crap out of it, and it's still going. The only thing that happened, if you watch the claw hammer challenge video, I blew a power steering line because it pinched in between the chassis and where the ram is, so blew that line. But other than that, I didn't break anything. I am absolutely blown away. So the plan is we're gonna do a super budget buggy. I'm gonna build the chassis and use everything off of this thing. I'm gonna use all the drivetrain. I'm gonna use these axles. It's got a Dana 30 up front with chromoly's and ARB, and the rear's a Curry 9-inch with an ARB, and chromoly's. So it's got some decent parts in it, but I figured we could at least build a cool chassis and have some fun with it. I'm probably just gonna, since I'm doing these axles, I'm probably just gonna do it on like 37s. I have some air shocks that I'm gonna throw on it. I have the seats out of my old car, so I'll put those in it. I have a lot of the full hydro stuff, so we'll go to full hydro on this. I just have to buy a ram, but yeah, should be a fun little project. It'll be the budget buggy series, so if you guys are interested in watching that, stay tuned for that. So that's just about it for this week. It's probably gonna end up being a pretty short video, but just wanted to show what we got going on. Got everything all cleaned up, getting ready to go on vacation this weekend, so got the whole backyard all cleaned up and everything. The new pup Henry just loves to chew everything, just always making a mess of everything. So got the backyard all cleaned up. Gonna make some burgers and get ready to go on vacation this week. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys not next week, but in 2 weeks.